Make your next oil change at Jeff's Auto. Go to jeffsauto.com. Schedule that. Know they do provide loaner cars. jeffsauto.com. Do you have insurance with one of the big national carriers? Does your agent only offer policies from one company? Hey, it's Todd Herman. You need someone who works for you and isn't captive to one carrier. That's why I love Firstmark Insurance. They represent the major carriers, Safeco, Penco, Nationwide, Travelers, dozens more. But they work for me and you. Firstmark will show you the affordable way to properly protect all your assets. For us, Firstmark taught us about earthquake insurance. But because Firstmark works with all carriers, they were able to show me how to do that the right way. Whether it's an investment property, a second home, a couple cars, if you own a business, Firstmark will do the same with all your business policies. Call Firstmark Insurance, tell them you want to see the side-by-side comparison between your current coverage and what Firstmark can do. Take the Firstmark Challenge today and see how much money you can save, or better yet, how much better coverage you can have. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Don't wait. It could be any form of savings. That's firstmarkinsurance.com.
Got an idea for a new product or app? Protect your idea and learn how to bring it to the market. Call Davison for your free idea and invention starter kit. 800-294-7417.
That does it for hour number 2 of the Jason Ranch Show. Still got a lot to get to, including a preview of tonight's State of the Union address, the first of its kind from President Donald Trump. But I don't know if it matters because a bunch of college students said it's racist. It didn't happen yet, but they're calling it racist. We've got the audio when we come back.
Seattle's right choice for conservative talk radio. AM 770 KTTH Seattle and 94.5 FM K233BU Seattle.
Republicans are defending themselves. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
There are legitimate questions about whether an American's civil liberties were violated by the FISA process.
House Speaker Paul Ryan, the day after the House Intelligence Committee voted to release a classified memo they say shows an abuse of government surveillance on the Trump campaign.
This is a completely separate matter from Bob Mueller's investigation.
But Democrats say the GOP is trying to undermine the special counsel's Russia probe, distorting facts.
Sadly, we can fully expect that the President of the United States will not put the national interest over his own personal interest.
Adam Schiff's the top Democrat on the Intel Committee. President Trump will decide if the memo is made public. Americans are more optimistic about the economy. A new report just out shows a rise in consumer confidence this month. President Trump may mention that tonight. And the booming stock market, which isn't booming today. The big sell-off, the Dow's down 230 points. Now with more on the State of the Union, Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, watch for President Trump to tout the economy, the Republican tax bill, and the confirmation of Justice Neil Gorsuch to the U.S. Supreme Court. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders.
We're really excited about talking about our successes of the first year, but even more so what we are going to accomplish over the next 7 years.
The Democratic Women's Working Group is paying homage to the Me Too movement by asking some members to wear black. Several Democratic lawmakers are boycotting the speech. Dave?
Rachel, one of the president's guests tonight will be Evelyn Rodriguez, whose daughter Kayla was murdered in 2016 in New York.
She was an innocent girl. Good girl. Had her life ahead of her, and it was taken.
3 of the 4 gang members charged in her killing are in the country illegally. Jimmy Drake will be the guest tonight of a New Jersey congressman. His son Darren was killed in the Halloween terror attack in New York City. House Democrat Josh Gottheimer has introduced a bill to require car dealers and rental companies cooperate with law enforcement screening for potential terrorists. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
All money managers may seem pretty much the same. But while some money managers may recommend high commission investment products, Fisher Investments avoids them. Some money managers may have hidden and layered fees. Fisher Investments never does. And while some money managers are happy to earn commissions from you, whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're structured to be on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come to us from other money managers. Talk with us and find out why so many experienced investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
From the Online Trading Academy studio, this is AM 770 KTTH.
This hour of the Jason Ranch Show is brought to you by Farah.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the only morning show you need to get you through your commute, get you set up for the day, and get you ready for the week to come. You are listening to the Jason Rant Show on AM 770 KTTH. Got a lot to get to. Only 1 hour left to do it. College students at NYU said the State of the Union was racist. The State of the Union did not yet happen. We're going to play for you that audio. Plus, John Decker is going to stop by from Fox News Radio with a preview of tonight's State of the Union. That and so much more. But first, it's time to get your work the right way with Right Way Traffic, brought to you by the Online Trading Academy.
Only one minor blocking problem to let you know about right now. Eastbound Highway 900 at 164th Avenue. We have a jackknifed semi in the area, causing some minor delays through the Renton Highlands. Northbound 5, bumper to bumper right now between Albro and Yesler. Southbound 5, starting to line up a little bit. Still a little bit heavy between Northgate down to the Ship Canal Bridge. Federal Way to Seattle, 47 minutes. Federal Way to Bellevue, 56 minutes. This traffic report is brought to you by Seattle RV Show. Let's go to the Seattle RV Show, February 8th through 11th at Century Field Event Center. Presented by WSECU. Free parking when you buy tickets at SeattleRVShow.com. You're listening to AM 770 KTTH.
Attend a free online trading academy workshop. Text the word backup to the number 57682 and register for ongoing Bellevue workshops plus a Tacoma workshop next Wednesday, February 7th at the Washington State History Museum. There is a lot of news happening all around the world and right here at home. It's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Big picture.
The big picture has to do with tonight's State of the Union address, the first for President Donald Trump. We will be broadcasting it live with Fox News radio coverage starting at 6 p.m. Make sure you download the KTTH smartphone app. All you have to do is text the word KTTH to the number 98973 and you'll be able to download the app. The speech tonight is expected to sort of highlight the economy, how it's doing so well, talk a little bit about the immigration reform proposals on the table. We're going to talk to Fox News Radio's John Decker in a moment about it, but if you talk to some NYU students, it had already happened, and it was really, really racist. Cabot Phillips over at Campus Reform went to NYU 7 days ago. The video just dropped this morning, but he went there 7 days ago, and he asked students to give him a sort of a review of the State of the Union that he told them happened the night before.
Well, we've been getting people's reactions today to the State of the Union last night. Some people were saying that it was the most racist State of the Union that's ever happened. What was your reaction to everything that was said?
I didn't watch it because I couldn't bring myself to watch it. Quite racist at the very least, if not up there with most racist.
Yeah, wow. It's almost already quickly climbing the scales.
It was the most racist, if not the most racist she's ever seen. Of course, it didn't happen. Did President Trump even talk 7 days ago? Like, did he give a speech at all? I generally, like, these things are really easy to do, and it's certainly possible that Cabot Phillips over at Campus Reform spoke to, like, hundreds of students, and all of them said, hey, you big idiot, it's next week. What do you ask me about it? And he only focused on these. But the truth is, a lot more of these types of people exist than you think. And they're the ones who are talking to pollsters. They're the ones who are going on blogs and talking about how angry they are with the actions of the president. They are the ones who are influencing a lot of the analysis that's out there, saying, oh man, millennials just really don't like Donald Trump. They think he's a racist. Yeah, but they have no information to back up their point. They just have this narrative that they have decided to jump in on. So then Cabot Phillips asked them about what they thought about Trump's immigration plan that he outlined in the State of the Union.
Some of the people said today that they thought his immigration stance that he outlined last night was especially hateful.
Very
what do you think of it?
It's something that I wouldn't have expected to happen in, like, our lifetime. It's offensive. It is crazy, but I'm not shocked by what he's done in the past. So, pretty. I believe what I'm hearing about his rough nature and the hate that he probably said.
At least she acknowledged probably said. She didn't watch it. And then Cabot Phillips asks them about a fake statement that he supposedly made about the wall.
He told Democrats the wall got 10 feet higher because they didn't stand up and give him applause at one point. What do you think of all that?
Okay, that's funny. I hope that does happen tonight. I hope he says something about building the wall. The Democrats just sit there, and he just turns to him, you know what? 10 feet higher. This huge, beautiful wall just got huger and beautifuler.
Is the behavior of someone who refuses to accept accountability for their failures?
The way he acts, you shouldn't be acting like that if you're the leader of the country, regardless of what party you're in. So that frustrates me a lot.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that was his State of the Union address.
Hopefully everything that he's outlined can be overturned by the public opinion.
Now, this also makes a bigger point of how when you do video on the street, like, they all just say something because they want to be on TV. They have no idea what it is you're talking about, and there's certainly no vetting that goes into any of this. Let's find out what else is trending.
What's trending? Let's get political.
So Republicans in the House Intelligence Committee, they voted to #release the memo. This memo that alleges a whole bunch of misconduct by senior FBI officials during the probe into the purported collusion between Russia and the Donald Trump administration. Now, this memo was written by the chairman, Devin Nunes, Republican out of California. He claims that Rod Rosenstein, the deputy attorney general, he presented weak evidence to a FISA court to reauthorize surveillance of Carter Page. That is important because Carter Page is not only a Trump campaign advisor, at least at the time, but he's also an American citizen. The memo further claims that during this investigation, the FBI used unverified data points from this Trump dossier, which was paid for by the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton campaign, at least in part, which taints the investigation, certainly if they used any of that to go after the president. So a lot of people are complaining on the left that this puts national security at risk. Here's Adam Schiff. He is the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee.
We had votes today to politicize the intelligence process, to prohibit the FBI and the Department of Justice from expressing their concerns to our committee and to the House, and to selectively release to the public only the majority's distorted memo without the full facts.
So they want to put out their own memo because their memo will be the truth. The Republican memo, that's distortion. It's all a lie. But our memo on the Democratic side, that's the right memo. That's the good memo. Now, none of this could have happened without the support of Paul Ryan, Speaker Ryan, who explained just about 20 minutes ago the motivation for releasing this memo.
There may have been malfeasance by people at the FBI. And let me finish my points. There may have been malfeasance at the FBI by certain individuals. So it is our job in conducting transparent oversight of the executive branch to get to the bottom of that. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. And so what we want is all of this information to come out so that transparency can reign supreme and accountability can occur.
And I think that there's validity to that argument, right? That they saw some kind of malfeasance potentially, some kind of unethical behavior, and they want to put it out there because you've got the Democrats who are running roughshod and leaking information, claiming that there's collusion between Trump and the Russians, even though there so far has been no evidence whatsoever presented to that point. But they're putting that out there. They're leading with innuendo. They're leaking left and right. They might be leaking left and right based on information that was gathered in an unethical or immoral way. And the only way for that information to get out there is to release this memo to help keep the FBI and the Department of Justice more accountable.
The institution of the DOJ, of the FBI, is a very important institution for American life. It's a very important institution for keeping the rule of law intact. The men and women, the vast number of the men and women over at DOJ, over at FBI, are professionals doing their jobs and doing their jobs well. The people over in the field office in Milwaukee, at the FBI office, are helping keeping heroin and opioids out of our schools. So we want the people of the FBI to know that we respect their job, we respect who they are and what they do, and all the more reason why we need to have transparency and accountability to hold people accountable if they violated the rules, if they acted in a wrong, improper way.
What could possibly be in this memo that has Democrats so freaked out? And I ask that in a way that I acknowledge when I originally saw the release, the memo, the reason why I really didn't cover it on the show that much is it seemed like it was being driven by conspiracy theorists. It felt like it was being driven by just ideologues on the right who want to do their bidding for the president because they feared the findings of this Mueller investigation. And I didn't think they had a case to be made because I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that the president did anything wrong during the campaign. And I don't believe that there was any collusion, at least based upon the reports and the evidence presented so far. I'm not scared of the Robert Mueller investigation because if nothing happened, they're not going to be able to just make stuff up. And so I kind of viewed this release the memo as just a conspiracy. And yet now I'm hearing Nancy Pelosi and all of these different Democrats screaming about it, saying that this is about national security. This is going to put us at risk. I wonder if there is legitimately something that they are, in fact, trying to hide.
It's about our national security, and our President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief, and he should stop this immediately.
Stop it immediately. You're going to kill the Republic. We're no longer going to be in existence if you allow this to happen. Now I'm kind of curious about what's in this memo. The truth is, what's likely in this memo doesn't move the needle at all, that if you already believe that the FBI or the DOJ is biased, you're going to get this memo and you're also going to believe it. You're just going to say, proof. If you already currently do not believe that the FBI or the DOJ are biased, you're probably going to be like, yeah, this doesn't mean anything. So I don't know if this is going to change the conversation, unless there's legitimately something in there that's scaring people like Nancy Pelosi to the point where she's doing angry interviews on CNN. Kind of curious. You're listening to The Jason Rant Show. If you want to send me a tweet, twitter.com/Jason Rants. When we come back, we're going to talk with a reporter from Fox News Radio, John Decker, to preview tonight's State of the Union address. But first, it's time to get you to work the right way with right-way traffic.
Only one minor blocking problem to let you know about right now. Eastbound Highway 900 at 164th Avenue. We have a jackknifed...
During the speech?
I actually am going to be writing the web story tonight, so if you go to thewashingtonpost.com tonight during the speech, you will see the product of me feverishly rewriting the story every 15 minutes to reflect whatever the president's just said.
Does that go off to an editor first, or do you just post it directly onto the web?
It is lightly edited. There is an editor between me and the web.
So there is somebody who fixes your typos? I'm trying to figure that out. Because I'm a horrible, horrible typist. Every time I try to do, live tweeting, it takes me 15 minutes just to get my typos out of my short little tweet. So I'm glad you've got help on that. So now, to the thing you've been covering, which of course is you've been following the money, especially as it applies to Donald Trump. And you were writing last week about the whole emoluments case, this provision of the Constitution which says the president can't get gifts from foreign companies, and how despite that you have foreign governments booking events at Trump hotels. There is a judge who seems sympathetic to letting this case move forward, correct?
That's right. That was a real surprise last week. So there's been a bunch of lawsuits against Trump accusing him of violating this emoluments clause, taking money from foreign governments. And the big question is who has the standing to sue? Who's been injured so much that they can sue? And the case last week was that the attorney generals of D.C. and Maryland were basically suing, saying, we're states, or one state and a quasi-state. We have an interest in making sure the president has undivided loyalties, that his loyalty isn't being bought by foreign governments. And the government representing Trump said, no, you should throw this out. No, this is up for the Congress to enforce. It's not up to the states. But the judge actually seemed pretty sympathetic in his questions. We're not waiting to see what he actually will rule, but if he does, that could allow the states to start sort of digging through the files of the Trump Hotel in D.C. just to see exactly how much money's coming in from foreign governments.
Okay, so you write in your story that at the hearing's conclusion, the judge asked both sides what they would do next if he were to rule against Trump and let this case proceed. And the attorneys involved, which are representing D.C. and Maryland, said they would want to examine Trump Organization business records. Would that be the first time this has been done?
I can't say that for sure because you don't know what's happened in the Mueller investigation, the special counsel's investigation. I've seen stories saying that they've gone through Trump business records, but it would be the first time in any of these emoluments cases that anybody's looked through the Trump organization's actual records to see, okay, how much comes in from these foreign governments.
The other question is, are the tax returns at any point going to be opened up? Does this case bring us any closer to seeing those?
it could bring somebody closer to seeing them. I think that's one thing that they might be interested in getting is Trump's tax returns, because he owns all his businesses directly. You could see, what sources of income he had from foreign governments. We're still a long way from that. The government was going to fight this tooth and nail, and so there's probably a few more court hearings and rulings before they get to that.
Is there even any agreement on what emoluments means?
No, and that's part of the problem. The plaintiffs in these cases, like the D.C. Attorney Generals and the Maryland Attorney General, say it means basically if you're taking payments from a foreign government, even if it's a payment for a ballroom at the Trump Hotel or a payment for a hotel room, that counts. And the government says, no, representing Trump, they say, no, the emoluments basically only means bribes. So, the ban is only on Trump just taking an outright gift from some foreign government. That if he sells them a hotel room or a banquet hall for a fair market value, that's not an emolument, that's fine to do.
Well, then it sounds like this will hinge on what the definition of an emolument turns out to be. I don't think anybody's alleged that he has been bribed, right? I mean, the guy's a billionaire. Even I, as critical as I have been on occasion of the president, wouldn't think that because the Saudis book a hotel room, that's going to govern his relationship with them.
I think there is an interesting question about, book one hotel room, fine. What if they book, 50 hotel rooms for $1,000 a night, every night for a full year? What if they book a ballroom for 7 times the price of a normal ballroom? There's some case, I guess, where you could make a case that you could do enough business or overpay for business enough in a way that it would be sort of like a bribe, even though there was some good or service exchanged. But we don't know enough about the actual mechanics of these transactions to say.
I suppose, but the guy's made for life. I mean, even if he were to be a one-term president, his lecture fees, his TV royalties would be through the roof. He would do something else. I mean, the booking extra hotel rooms is just like chump change to a guy like that.
The thing that we don't really understand about Trump, and I've been trying to get to the bottom of this, is how much money he owes to various people and how many of his properties are in debt, and what the debt service is on those properties. I think the real vulnerability to, or the way to influence him might be if somebody helped him out with one of these properties, it might be deep in debt.
Yeah. All right, to this memo that's being released today or in the next 5 days. This is a memo that's put together by Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee purporting to show that this whole FBI investigation is based on a made-up dossier.
It's very, very confusing, and there's a lot of effort by the House Republicans to sort of muddy the waters and pretend like this memo is something that undermines Mueller, the special counsel investigation. It seems like, and we haven't seen it, the memo's still classified, like this is a criticism of a particular warrant, a surveillance warrant that the government, the FBI, got on a guy named Carter Page, who is a Trump campaign advisor who's been tied closely to Russia. They're going to say that the application for that warrant was based on this dossier about Trump and Russia, and it was somehow dodgy. The bigger problem is I think we're not going to see the underlying evidence that was sort of picked through to provide, to sort of compile this memo. So the critics of it, people who've seen all the evidence, say, well, this is only sort of half the story or less than half of the story.
Right. Fox is calling it the Obama surveillance memo, and the Democrats are unhappy because they also wrote a memo which the Republicans on the committee are blocking. So they're going to release the Republican memo, but not the Democratic memo. That's a little confusing because I thought the whole idea was transparency here. Do we have any inkling of what the Democratic memo is saying?
I think it's safe to say that they're going to say their memo says the Republican memo is overreaching and draws wrong conclusions and doesn't look at the full state of the facts, and that this surveillance warrant that they got to surveil this guy, Carter Page, was actually accurate and based on real concerns about what he was doing.
So releasing this Republican memo is really not going to settle the argument, is it? It's just going to send it into a new phase.
No, I think the impact will not be what the memo actually says, but rather if people, what people believe it shows, and if Donald Trump takes it as pretense to try to fire Rod Rosenstein, the Assistant Attorney General supervising Mueller. There's not really a great connection to Rosenstein, even in the letter of what the memo says. But if it's taken for that, that will be its real influence. Just if it's a fig leaf to try to crack down on Mueller.
Well, number one, I thought it was Rosenstein, and number two,
Rosenstein, yes.
Okay, and number two, really, I thought wouldn't that be just, wouldn't that blow this whole thing up if he fires Rod Rosenstein?
And that you think it would, but the Republican caucus seems much, much closer to Trump and much more loyal to him than they were even a year ago when Mueller was appointed. So yeah, it might blow things up, but Trump may calculate that's worth it. I don't know. I think that in his mind, for sort of the Fox News audience and people who are sort of deeply in Trump's camp, this memo may give him sort of like a pretense, even if though the text of the memo and firing Mueller may not have that much to do with one another.
David Farenthold, Washington Post. Happy blogging tonight, David.
Thank you.
It is 8:23, and time for traffic, brought to you by Online Trading Academy. Chris Sullivan.
We still have two places with unusual slowing on a day when our travel times are really good. We're looking at, again, westbound 512 for those of you stuck in the 2-mile backup trying to get up to Portland Ave. This is all caused by a crash there. Still, we're on the right-hand side still, and so we still have delays through the area. Also, still seeing off and on heavy slowing trying to get up into Port Orchard on westbound 16 because of an earlier crash there around the corner as you made your way towards the Highway 3 interchange. And again, the rest of the map looks really relatively light. 50 minutes from Everett to Seattle or Everett to Bellevue. 41 minutes now from Federal Way to Seattle. That is a great number. Renton to Bellevue is under 40 minutes, so we're looking really good there. The Valley Freeway is cruising as well, except for the last mile from about 180th into downtown Renton. Again, that should be expected. As for the Lake Bridges, a little heavier, though, than the rest of the map would indicate. Looking at 35 minutes now from Bellevue to Seattle on I-90. That's about 10 minutes slower than a typical day. And we're about 4 to 7 minutes slower on 520. It's running at 25 minutes in the westbound direction from Bellevue to Seattle. This report brought to you by Online Trading Academy. Attend a free power trading workshop. Text traffic 57682. Register for ongoing Bellevue workshops and a Tacoma workshop February 7th at the Washington State History Museum.
The showers seem to be creeping a little north of Olympia now. They might even lick Tacoma somewhat. Seattle, though, in the clear. Everett in the clear. Even Cookeville is in the clear. But this weekend's going to be rainier than we thought, so don't get your hopes up. 43 at the Carter's Subaru studio. And coming up, yes, there is a committee to get Oprah Winfrey to run for president. And yes, they already have a slogan. Yes, she can. Yes, she can. Coming up next on Cairo Radio.
See all of Cairo Radio's exciting contests, events, and promotions, and find official contest rules at CairoRadio.com.
The president's certainly giving a little, and that's likely what we're going to see at the end of the day. But as far as the speech tonight, the president is going to lay out this compromise plan once again to the Democrats with a nationally televised audience watching.
And on the topic of give and take, when we turn to infrastructure spending, generally speaking, Republicans are not the ones who push infrastructure spending. So is that something that the president is pushing out there to give sort of a little bit of a nod to Democrats?
Well, look, Democrats have supported this idea of an infrastructure spending bill for a number of years. Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has been for that for a number of years. She's on the record. Republicans, including the outgoing head of the House Transportation Committee, has also been in favor of an infrastructure spending bill. The secret here, though, the trick is, how do you pay for it? And that's where you have differences between Republicans and Democrats. That's why it's not just as easy as just getting this done within a few weeks. It takes time to figure out how it's all going to be paid for. It's a $1.3 billion plan, and it's something that the president would very much like to see happen in 2018.
And finally, something I both love and hate has to do with the politics within the room, whereas you give a 30-second portion of the speech and there's a 10-minute round of applause. Everyone chooses what they're going to applaud as a party and what they're not going to applaud as a party. So what do you think the reception is going to be, generally speaking, from Democrats?
Well, look, when the president at the very beginning of his speech talks about the State of the Union, and I'm sure he's going to use language which is very effusive in praising the State of the Union, saying it's not only strong, it's incredibly strong, using that Trump-like language. You're going to see both sides stand up. I mean, how can you sit on your hands for a line like that? Anything related to national security, you're likely to see Democrats join Republicans in standing up for that in the president's address. But for those divisive issues, that's where you're likely to see a very divided House chamber. Republicans standing, Democrats sitting. That's what we've typically seen. And you may recall there was only 1 year where Democrats joined Republicans in sitting next to one another rather than dividing the room. That was in the aftermath of that terrible shooting involving Congresswoman Gabby Giffords. Since then, we haven't seen that kind of, reaching out, conciliatory tone exist on the floor of the House where the President's State of the Union address. That's too bad.
God forbid they actually get together and do something in a united front.
Exactly.
We got live State of the Union coverage tonight starting at 6 o'clock with Fox News Radio. Fox News Radio's John Decker's joined me live this morning. John, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You as well. When we come back, we're going to talk with Politico's Dan Lippman on the somewhat unexpected departure of the FBI man, number 2 man within the FBI, Andrew McCabe. We're going to get into that when we come back. You're listening to The Jason Rantz Show.
1 year into the presidency,